Hey guys, welcome to another day of learning game development with JavaScript. So let's start from where we left off. Let me start up my project. So what we were building until now, we were building this Flappy Bird game, and I showed you how it actually looked like. So I'm supposed to move my bird through the holes that were passing through here. So let's continue. We knew that we were stuck at a point. Let me refresh my page. So once I clicked on the gravity functionality was done, where it was going down on its own. Other than that, we had these frames, these blocks coming in and the holes moving through. So the main problem that we were facing is once we were clicking on one of the game board, it was going up continuously. So I'm supposed to even stop it. So once I click on it, it is supposed to stop. Also, so let's just revise through this functionality first. For the gravity function, for the gravity functionality, all we did is we were setting the top property. The top property was changing continuously. So once I put a particular property, it is at this place, and for the gravity part, I am supposed to increase the top's value. So once I increased, first it was 100 pace, and then it kept increasing 100, 204, and it kept increasing at 10 milliseconds time. So if I increase this time interval, it doesn't work so well, because if I make it 1 second, you'll see it is taking so much time to just move down, which doesn't simulate gravity. So to simulate gravity, all we did was increase the top value at a very high pace. That was in 10 milliseconds. And for the jumping functionality, first I tried doing this. Let me use it by removing this set interval part, and let's make it transparent. So even if I was clicking, you will think that say it still went down. So the problem is I am clicking on jump, but the time interval for this is at least 1 second. Like it takes me some time to click on jump. Now when I'm clicking on jump, how were we supposed to simulate this jumping functionality now? Is we were supposed to, like when the gravity is working, I'm clicking on the game board. So once it decreases by 2 px, it increases by 2 px the height. I am decreasing the height by 5 px, because normally when you're flapping your wings, you are supposed to go higher than how fast you go down under gravity. So so flapping the wings, I'm making it decreasing it by 5. If I made it 2, it would be the same. There would be no change. In the case that, let me show you why there's no change. So if I did this -2, let's see if there is any change here. Let me make it 1 second. No, 1 second. Let it be 10 milliseconds. Once I clicked on jump, now it is at the same place. Why is it? Because it is increasing by 2, it is decreasing by 2, and both of them are happening at 10 intervals of 10 milliseconds. So now if I increase it by 3, it will slowly start moving upwards. Now it is moving, though it is increasing by 2, now it is again decreasing by 3 on clicking jump. And the thing is, once I clicked on jump, this set interval function was called, and it is continuously being called. Even though this functionality is also being called, so the +2 is still working, but the -3 is more, so there is a difference of 1, and by differences of 1, it is increasing after every 10 milliseconds. So that's why the 10 milliseconds was required. If I make it 1000 milliseconds, we will be able to see it more clearly. Let me make this 5 again, or 4. So the gravity is working. See, it is decreasing by 4, it is increasing by 2 after every 1 second. Because I was earlier doing it in terms of 10 milliseconds, in intervals of 10 milliseconds, it was working so easily. So it is now when I click on it again, After every 1000 millisecond, after every 1 second, now it will decrease by 4. So it will slowly again move up. It is slowly moving up every time. So let's keep it at 10 milliseconds. Also, I needed to use this 10 milliseconds thing. Like you could have told me that even for gravity part, I know that it is increasing by 2. So gravity should always work. So it should be in a set interval. But why do I need the jump functionality as a set interval? Because I need to keep this at terms with the gravity as well. Because the gravity, even though it is working at 10 milliseconds, it should be working. The jump functionality, if I click once, so it doesn't give that kind of response. Because I have clicked on jump once, so the 4px decrease it is happening at 1 second time. So the 2px increasing, it is happening at 10 milliseconds time. So that's why I need to put the jump functionality in an interval as well. Now the thing is also, like now the what problem we are facing, are we facing it now? Let me see. Now the problem that we are facing is even though it is getting clicked, it is going downwards. Now since the number is higher, so it is supposed to decrease by 2 once I click on jump. So now it is going away. So I need to find a way so that it doesn't move away from here. So there needs to be a jump. So once I am jumping, there needs to be a particular holding scenario. So I need to hold back. So you can say that this set interval function, it shouldn't continuously keep on calling. It should stop after a particular time interval. Or I can say that the set interval function will keep on getting called, but this new top addition, it should stop after a particular interval. So we will try doing that. Give me a second. So where is it? We are here. Okay. We will try doing something that, so basically uh, we will try to use a flag variable. Basically I will try using a variable, and based on that, basically I will try to take a variable as 0 or false. So the jumping should be false at first. Now when I click on jump, the jumping should change to true. But again, what should I try to do? uh, I will keep on jumping. So now within jump, I will check that how many times this functionality is getting called. And after a particular number of calls, I will stop it. I'll change the jumping value where, and then I will again start the gravity functionality. So basically, I want this particular functionality, like the adding the gravity functionality, to get called when jumping is false. So when jumping is true, at that time this functionality will get called, and when jumping is false, this functionality will get called. So let's take a variable, let jumping false. What will I try to do is this thing, I will call it when jumping is false, because once someone is jumping, I don't want the gravity effect to work anymore, because I don't actually need it. So for that I will decrease it by 4. That is why I'm decreasing it by 4. So once gravity functionality is getting called, I don't want the jump. So, and the vice versa. Basically, once jumping functionality is getting called, I don't want the gravity part. So if jumping, well, it should be not jumping. Uh, it's not of jumping. So not of jumping, what does this mean? Jumping. So if I write if jumping, so this is equivalent to writing if jumping equal to true. Okay. But I want that jumping is equal to false. Only then will I put this value. So instead of writing jumping equal to false or jumping equal to true, for true we normally write just jumping, like the variable name, it is taken in as boolean. And since I want it to be false, to be called when it's false, I will add a not before this. So normally, what does this mean? This means that when I'm writing not of jumping, so I'm writing actually not of true. So not of true is false. Not is basically reversing the functionality. So I can also say not of 0 is true. Basically, 0 is taken as true. Sorry, 0 is taken as false and 1 is taken as true. So if I write not of false, it is true, like this. Is the idea here. So when I'm saying that when I'm not jumping, my gravity should work. That's okay. Now let's go to this jumping functionality. So I don't want jumping to be called. I don't want this functionality, this addition, gravity functionality to be called when jumping is true. So I need to set jumping to true here. So once I click on jump, I set it to true. Okay. Now what happens in this? The same thing will actually happen here, because even though I am now, it will go away faster. This button, this is going away much faster. If I had if I hadn't used this thing, so let me keep this instead. You will see the pace. So once I was saying, so it is going up at a faster, slower pace. See, we haven't stopped that going away thing, but we have simply moved away the Java's gravity functionality. Now you see, once I click, it is going away faster, because if, in this case, the plus two, if, when there is no condition, the plus two was still happening when there was no condition. So the birth top was getting decreased by 2. So increasing by 2, getting decreased by 4. So it was decreased by 2. But when I'm putting this functionality, so at that time my birth top is decreasing by 4. That's why this particular speed change has happened. Now we have achieved this thing where we are moving away gravity's work. Now we are supposed to stop this. Now we are supposed to stop this -4 from happening after a particular time interval. So let's do that. So how can we actually do that? We will actually check, see this particular function. We will check how many times this function is getting called, and we will prevent this thing from getting called again and again after a particular number of times. So what we can do, let's keep a count. Jump function count. So we are checking how many times this function is actually getting called, not the entire jump function. This function is getting called how many times. So let's keep this as 0. After this, what we can do, we will simply within inside this we will simply increase the count. So jump function count, and being plus 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 means jump count equal to jump count plus 1, and we will check that after a particular number of time it will stop getting called. Also this thing, this setting of this function, the bird.style.top, if jump count is less than what value, I am not putting the value now, let me think about it. So when there's a particular number of times, the particular number of times the function has been called, so how many times would you like this thing to be, after how many times it should have been called? So if jump function counts, if this function is called 10 times, so my that px thing, that top is decreasing by 4 in -4 -2 by 20 px. So I need to think about in this way that how many times do I want my how much do I want my ball to move upwards on clicking at once. So on one click, I would like my ball to, for example, go up by just 10 px. Okay, let's make it 10 px is too less. Let's make it 40 px. Okay, so that means I would like to keep the jump function count at 20. Why did I say 20? Because my new, no, no, sorry, 10. Okay, 10. Because now my jump function, my bird top is decreasing by 4 now because I removed the effect of gravity. So my jump function is increasing, my bird top is getting decreased by 4. So if this function gets called 10 times, so my function, my ball will move up by 40 px. Okay, here's 4 into 10, 40 px. So this is what I want. I want jump function count to be called at this, in this level. So let's see what is happening if I do this. Let me refresh. See, it moved upwards. Now the problem is, once it moved upwards, now I know that it is not going down. So I need to again help it go downwards, right? Because I don't want my ball to stay here. So what I need to do again, uh, I can set the jump function count. No, sorry, not jumping. I will say basically I want gravity to start working again, right? So once I click on the button, it is moving upwards, but it should again go down, but it's not going down. So I want it to work now. So I will, so how do I want, how can I add back gravity? Because you see this function, this thing is actually getting called every 10 seconds, every 10 milliseconds. But since I put the jumping variable condition, my bird top action was not getting added, the style top, it was not getting added. So what I can do, I can set jumping to true yet again. No, I should set jumping to false. Because if I set jumping to false, so after 10 times, it will again set to false and then it will again call. So let's see what's happening. See, it is getting called. It is getting called. Now I have to continuously keep on clicking to help it work. So you get the idea? Now what else we can do? This is actually not enough because now I need to remove this function. So this entire thing that is happening, after one jump, I want the jump function count to reset every time, but after every jump, it should again call this function from the very beginning. I don't want that after one interval it is at 10, it has been called 10 times, then the next time it will not be called again. That's why I need to click it so many times. So the clicking needs to be done so fast. So I need to make it a little easier. So for that, I need to stop, actually remove this entire interval. So after a particular number of jumping counts, this calling, I will actually remove this interval and this should again be called the next time on clicking on the jump function. So once I click on jump, I need to now, after a particular number of times, I need to clear this interval. So clearing as in, so what I can do, I should actually set this to a particular in the variable or else I can't clear it. So let jump interval is set interval function. And I can do, so similarly, I can clear the interval of jump interval and set the jump function count to 0. This is what I can do. Let's see. Wait, something's wrong. Okay, see, basically I need to do it after a different interval actually. No, no, sorry, sir. I need to call this jump function. It's not for less than 10. I'm really sorry for this. The condition got wrong here. I should be removing this interval, right? After a particular number of times. So when it is on interval setting jump to false and everything, it should be after a particular interval, not less than that. So until it is less than 10, I am adding this. But if it is greater than a particular value, then I will not add this. So this needs to be a defined condition. Sorry, I mistook this less than thing for something. So make it if jump function count is greater than, let's make it 20. So now this will work. Basically, I want this jumping function to be called changed to false once the number of jumping has increased by a particular level. So let's see now what's happening. See, now it's working better. So I get the idea here. That was really long because I want this jumping to be set to false, the jump function count to be set to 0, and the clearing of the centered interval after a particular number of times. So that's why this happens. Because if I don't do that, see, after a particular interval, see, my this function is actually getting called so many times, but since I'm not clearing the interval anymore, now it is just going up. So I need to also set the jumping to false. I need to clear this interval. So all these things are required. Until this one is done, now what I need to do, there are two things. First of all, now we need to handle the failure state. So we have accessed these things. Uh, Let me refresh it again. Our moving of the ball has been done, and to make it smoother, I can actually change the values here. Like it is -2 and +2 and -1. See, these things, these things can be up to up. These can be changed using the difficulty level. So if I increase this bar, increase the height, increase the gravity thing, so the gravity will fast work faster. So if I make it 6, then at that time my, see, this is going away so fast. If I make it 4, it will still fast. Now for this thing I'm making it -8. So see, this is so this is more difficult than the earlier one. Now it takes too many taps and all those. So this thing can be, you can manipulate this value, you can make it 4, 8, but always remember, try keeping the gravity's value lesser than the jumping one, else it gets a bit tougher. If you see why, see, I need to click it so many times. This is much more, this is more tough. So let's set this to 3 and 5. So this is smoother. You can do whatever you want. Now the next thing is, now we need to handle the failing states. So how, when is it going to fail? Once it reaches the top, like once it also the thing is, I don't want my it shouldn't be failing at this case. So I am taking it to the very top, but it should stay there. It shouldn't go away. And down under, when I reach this particular place, the down, it should fail then, and also the touching of the blocks. So let's handle these things first. So what we can do, basically, once I'm making it jump and it reaches here, it should stop. So that means I need to stop decreasing the top, this new top thing. This needs to be stopped. So setting of the border style the top should be stopped after a particular case. So let's see, let's do that. Uh, Basically, when will I stop it? When the top value has reached a minimum value, the top. So to access the bird top, I have bird top here. If I see that, when will I stop decreasing the value? When bird top, so when should I be actually increasing? When bird top is greater than, what's this, 6. So basically, if it is 6 or less than 6, I won't decrease it because it's -5 here, right? So once I do -5 again for to say something like 5, it will go to 0 and then again move away. So once my bird top is only when the bird top, so basically the top value is greater than 6, only then will I decrease it. So anything less than that, I won't be calling this part where I won't be setting the bird top to a newer value. So let's see if it, so it is not going away anymore. It is not going, basically it is going just once, so I need to decrease this value a little. So let me make it, wait a minute, it is still work. Let me refresh this. It is still going away, right? It's going completely out. What's the problem here? Bird top is greater than it's right, obviously, because if bird top is greater than 6, documents as in we can provide you with the, I will provide you with the presentation, and the in within the presentation all the data is present there. So that's the entire documentation thing that you can get. And also regarding this, basically documents regarding to what we will be getting, basically what we studied about. So I will be providing you with the documents tomorrow. Like I haven't provided you with the presentation yet because I already have it. So I will provide you with it tomorrow. And right now it is more about this understanding the games within. So regarding getting what you are telling me about, we are told you would get a lot of documents as in whatever we are studying right now. And I hope like when you are going through this, you will be seeing what are things we are doing. So I hope that's, I feel like that's obviously a lot to take in. Instead, I will be providing with the presentation, the whatever the data is already present in there, where you will have the basics of JavaScript and everything, and also whatever things that we use right now regarding regarding the various query selectors and all, you will be getting that as well within that. It's more of a practice kind of thing. Like if you keep on doing something, then it gets easier because just reading through the documents won't help. So actually I didn't save this. Just, see now it is not going up anymore. So it is at a particular distance. I am clicking it as vigorously as I want. So this condition is completely right. So I'm still clicking it, but it's not going away. So it's at the top. So this is fine. It shouldn't go away. Also down, what do I want? I don't want it to go anymore down. I want my game to be over once I reach this place. So let's do that. How can we do that? Basically, we will check that this top thing when it is equal to the value of the entire height of the game board. So my height of the game board is 500. So what we will do, we will check like what's the value here. Where we will show this game thing. I won't be doing it as a jump one. So I will be doing it in the gravity function because it is going down. So if someone, I will be adding the functionality for getting the game over when it is reaching this place in the gravity functionality. So what we can do, we have the bird top. If bird top is greater than 500, what will say? We will alert game over. Well, let's refresh this. Okay. Uh, well, this is going out. Okay, so we need to. It's not. It shouldn't be 500. It should be 500 minus the height of my ball. So the ball's height should also be taken into consideration. So when the down part of the ball reaches this place, it should be calling at that time. So instead of doing 500, I will be doing 500 minus what was the height of our ball? 20 px. This is the bird. So I will be doing it 480. 500 minus 20. Now if I do this, so now it is perfectly working, where it is reaching this plus and it's done. Fine. Now see, this thing is continuously working again, because once I'm clicking on OK, my top value, since I have not refreshed my page, my top value is still here. So that's why it is checking that now the correct, because this set interval function, this particular function is still getting called because I just used an alert. So there are two things that we can actually do. One thing is I can reload my page. Also, I can clear the interval when the game is over and return from the functionality. So, or else we can also start our game by just clicking on OK. Okay, so what I can do, this thing, this bird's value needs to be changed to where it was before. So, what was our value for the bird? But it was stop. Its stop was 100 px. So once game is over, on clicking on OK, let's set the bird top to again 100 px. And I need can't just write 100 px directly. I need to write it like this. Yes, I have been. Well, I have been providing this GitHub repo on every time. So I will be providing this one. If you want, I will be providing from the very beginning. So the other two games I will be providing it today again in the comment section. If you check last test chat, if you go to the end of the video, you will see that I have provided the GitHub repos on every video. So this now, see again, when I'm clicking on OK, it is going back to where it was. Let's see this. So it is working fine. So the top and the bottom part has been done. The top part has also been done where it is not going up anymore. And when it reaches the bottom, the game is over. So these are few of the things that we should be doing actually. Like I need to do a few changes where I will be starting. So when I'm clicking on it is again starting from the very beginning. So I need to, like what happened in the Flappy Bird thing, I would click on this place once, and only after that my game would start. Else I would have something like start game. And why the Flappy Bird thing has put the thing, that clicking thing here, because if I click on start button outside this game board, then it might take me some time to come back here and do something. So instead I'm clicking on it once, my game is starting, and then I started playing. So we will be doing that functionality as well. So before that, let's set up the other things where we will be setting the score, and other than that checking the failure state and everything. So let's set the score as well. So how can I set the score? Uh, Basically while going through every animation, right? So when I'm going this animation thing, basically it should be the number of these things passed, the number of blocks and the number of holes passed through. So that means if I count the number of animations that are happening, because once it reaches this state, the animation stops. So I can access the score from here. Okay. So what I can do is, on every animation, where did we set the animation thing? Yes, here. Let's set the let's use something called let's code equal to 0. and within this we'll be setting the score. Also, I need to access this, so I will access it in this game over part. I'll be using template strings. Let's see if it works. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait a minute, the score is 8. So let's see what went wrong. Refresh this page. My score is 0, fine. So it changed to 4. 8. Okay, first I need to remove this thing here. I need to set the score to 0 because else it will still keep on getting added. First thing. Zero. So on every structure and every passing of the animation, it is actually changing to 4. So we need to see why that is happening. So every animation it is giving a value of 4 times. So let's see why is it happening. Let me remove the alert for once, else I won't be able to see. And where are we setting the score? Check console log score. So it's getting 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's fine. Also, it is staying at 2 because I'm changing the score to 0. Because if I didn't do that, it would keep on increasing. 3, 4, 5, 6. Fine. So its score is 0. So what's the problem that's happening? Alert game over score 50 score. Let me bring this back again. A game over, my score is 0. So it is giving 1, 2, 3, 4 at the very beginning. Okay, you get it because this functionality is getting called. This animation is actually getting called for both of them because I have two animations here for that thing, whole thing, and for the button thing as well. For the whole and the block, both of them. So I can make it 4 by 2. So I need to divide that thing by 2. So get that idea? We need to actually divide this by 2. Yeah. Basically because there are two animations here. So animation iteration is working. Remember because in index cases we had two animations. One was for the whole and one was for the block. Here. So for both the animation that function is getting called and that's why this thing is happening. So I need to divide it by 2 every time. So that's the idea for the score thing. So this done. Now let's get to the failure state for the starting of the blocks. Let's do that in a minute. Give me So let's get back to what we're doing. Just remove this alert for now. Okay. So other than that, when should my game be over? And cases where my block is touching the character. So first I need to check the block's position. Now if you see something, the way we have done this, we have started from the very from zero, from this place. So it is still in this position, only the block is coming to me. I am not moving towards the block is coming towards me. So and what do I need to check? I need to check that the block's left, the left value of the block doesn't touch my ball. So once the left value of the block touches my ball, it should throw an error, like my game is over. However, there is another case to this as well, where it can touch my ball. This block can touch the ball, but not the block, the hole. But if you remember, my block is actually the entire thing. See, the hole was just a coinciding thing which was put on it, but actually the block is the entire thing. So every time the block will touch the ball. However, I need to put a condition where I need to check whether it is part of the hole as well. So I need to check whether the hole's value, what is the height of the hole, what is the hole's value, and I have to compare it. So let's first take the block into consideration where it will be touching first, and let's put this in here where the game will be over. So let block, I will say let block left, like it was bird top. Now it will be block left because I will be checking the left value. How will I be accessing it? It is same as this. Win.get computer style. So now it will be block. Have we accessed the block? So the block is not accessed. Let me access the block. The block has an ID of block. Okay. Let block dot get element by ID block. Okay. Block left is block. Window get computer styles of block and get the property value of now left. So I need to check the left value. And how will I check it? I'll be checking whether the left is uh, what are the things. It is whether it is touching the ball. So it needs to be, when it is less than 20, when the left is less than 20, my game should be over. So let's do that. What will I do? Basically now this place will have quite a few functionalities. So let's create a function outside. Function check game over. In this, let's put check game over here. That is game over. So this game over should be the very beginning. Should be check game over. I will call this function. Let is game over will be false at first. It's similar to the snake thing that we did. Is game over false, and after this, in this it will be if is game over. Okay. Now what are the things that we can do? If bird top is greater than 480, obviously it will return true. It doesn't need to go to any other case. Now I will be using an else if function. Within else if, what I will do? I will be checking do blocks coincide with bird? So this is the name of my function. So let this is the name of my function. Let's have this as function. Two birds blocks coincide with bird. And here we will be actually using this block left thing. So let's access the block left in this place. Let's access block left here. Better. Let me give this a condition at least so that it actually gets saved. Now if I will check if block left is less than 20. Well, it should be less than 20, right? And block left is greater than. Why did I say block left less than 20 by the way? Because the length of my character, sorry, the width of my character is 20. So the character is taking this much space at least. So since it is taking this much space, so when it is touching the block here, it should be when it is less than 20. It should be touching the block when it is less than 20. And this one, and this thing you saw, what was the width of our block? It was, let me see, I forgot myself. The width of our block was 50 px. So you saw that I did that overflow hidden thing. So let me remove the overflow hidden for once. If you see, so it is going out at y minus 50. So my blocks will be touching the ball at until it is minus 50, because it needs to go, the ball is starting from 0 to 20. So this side 20, and when it is going to this side is 50. So I need to check, I need to keep another check, which is block left is greater than minus 50. So even if this is present, then my blocks are coinciding with the bird and it's true. So I will keep another check here. Let me name it check. Check blocks coinciding with word. Well, this name is too huge. Let's name it check collision. Let's name it check collision. So it will be let is colliding. I will be calling this function here. It is colliding is equal to, let is colliding will also be will be false at first. Okay. And I will be setting the value of is colliding to check collision. So let's see that. So return, it should also return true. And else if is colliding, this should also return true. So let's check. So in this case, my game should actually finish once I touch the block, whether it is the whole or whether it is the entire block, it should finish. Well, wait a minute. If is game over, check game over is being called. Okay, it doesn't have bird top actually. I need to provide the bird top here as well. This is one thing. See, once it touched here, also the game is over. The game is over. The game is over. However, this place is also not present. There's this white part is still the block. So I need to add this functionality here now. So let's do that. So what we can do here is, wait a minute. Let's check the top value. Uh, the things we can do, let's find out the top value for that in here, set interval in this function. Let's take a value which will be let this be a temporary variable. So temporary top, it should be 500 the entire width of the board minus word top and the negative of it. And we need to keep on checking what is the value of this top at a particular point, and I need to check it with the top of the hole, basically this top value, whatever top we are getting, and also I have to do this minus thing because you know that it is always in negative. So I need to check whether this temporary top value is it uh, is it less than that thing where this part, or is it greater than this part. If any of these two things happen, only then the game should be over. So when is the game over? When the temp top is less than this part and greater than this part. So this is the idea here. So what we can do is temporary top. So we need to add this condition here as well. Let's add this condition. What will let's give it a name of, that is, let us provide it a function here as well, where it will be uh, collision with hole. Actually, if collision with hole, then it's fine. I need to check it as not collision with hole. So here also I will be requiring the bird top. So I will be simply copying this. Instead of copying this every time, we can, for now I'm copying it, but you can send it through functions as well. So you can change the code by better here. So let the bird top be this one, and this temporary top value, basically this temporary top value is the value of the bird at a particular point. But since I'm doing this negative thing, I'm naming it temporary top. I will be checking if this temporary top is less than what actually the top of that this thing, the top of the hole. So now I need to access the whole top here. So have I accessed? No, I haven't accessed before. So let's access it here because I will be requiring it here only. I need to save, copy this. So this is whole top. This will be whole top. Get computer side whole dot get property value top. So I need to check whether temporary top is less than whole top. One thing, and here I need to use an odd function list. So any one can happen. So whether it is less or it is greater than the whole top. However, okay, let's see this the whole top. So this will return true. So there is collision with the whole. If temp top is no, actually, if temp top is greater than whole top and temp top is less than whole top, then it is colliding with the whole. It's fine. So this is returning true. So let's name this is colliding as is colliding with block, and then another will be is colliding with whole. Let is colliding with whole. This will also be false at first. Let's just keep it as false. And is colliding with whole. Check collision. Well, that what was the name of the function? Collision with whole. Sorry, just collision with whole. Collision with whole. Uh, so what we can do is, so there's an else if kind of statement. So if this is happening, let's put it in one place because it's getting too risky here. Either butt top is greater than 480 or we will check that this collision with block is colliding with block. So this is completely one, and within this any one. So basically either butt top greater than 480 or is colliding. We now think of it as separate statements. So either this can happen or now what I will be adding here, any of these will happen. So I need to add something within these brackets now. So this is the problem of putting brackets here. So here what is this? If it is colliding with block, however at the very same time, because it is every time colliding with the block, that will always come true. However, I need to add functionality where it is colliding with the whole. So if it collides with the whole, then it's fine, right? Because it is colliding with the block, it is true, then the game will get over. However, I don't want that. I want that is colliding with block is true. Now if I see that is colliding with whole, is that true? Now if that is true, then it shouldn't be game over. So what I want here is and is colliding with whole. And if it is this thing, okay, let's see what's happening here. Let's go back. So it's working fine now. Oh no, well this thing is not working. Let's see what went wrong. Well, the colliding with block thing is not working here. It's colliding with whole. Okay, fine. So it's colliding with whole. Well, let me check this out. Temp top should be less than whole top, should be greater than whole top. Sorry, close. Nice working. Is it fine now? Let's see. Okay. Still touched, touched, touched. So basically, if this was a square, you would understand. Basically, these white spaces, it's a still part of the div, right? So if this was a square, you would understand it better that it was still touching. So this is one of the problems. We should actually be keeping this as a square, and then it will work better. So we are doing this thing where the whole top is greater than where the temporary top is greater than the whole top plus 130. Basically, it is taking the entire. Let me check this. So CSS plus it was 130, right? Okay. Basically, the height of this hole was 150. Now we need to check whether the whole top, because I have not taken the whole bottom, right? Because if I did something like whole bottom, it would still be done, okay. But I've taken whole top only. So with the whole top, again, I'm checking whether the temporary top, it is between the whole top. So from here and till here. From here till here. So basically whole top plus 150. This is because the width height of this is 150, and I'm not checking with 150. I'm checking with 130 because as it happened with the down portion. Because I want the downwards part to it should be complete when the downward part touches. So that's why I'm doing 150 minus the character's height. So 150 minus 20 is 130. So I'm checking with that. So now it's completely working fine. Let's refresh this. So it's an error. Still wrong. So that's a so this what's happening. So this is actually the end of our Flappy Bird game here. So what you can do is you can add some functionality, like we will be starting the game only when I click on the game board. So for that, right now you will see that already we have this jump functionality that is being done when I click on it. So I need to first find out what, like when my the calling thing is starting. Let's see. You guys trying doing that. Like you will actually call this thing this animation iteration and this gravity functionality. It will start working, and the animation will start working once you click on the button. So that's the click on the game board at some point. So that is something that I will leave it to you, because all this while we have been doing so many JavaScript functionalities and so on. So I hope you will be able to get that. So this is the end of the Flappy Bird game. I actually had thought that I would be doing 3 games at first, but then I feel like we actually have some time, so I will be getting on. We will be making another game. So we will get to that. Let me first push this thing to GitHub, and then you guys can so that change these values. So what did we actually do? We created a Flappy Bird game, and as I told you, you can change this value of the gravity and the value of how far it will jump up, and that using that you can change the difficulty. Other than that, you can also increase this animation speed. If you sorry decrease the animation speed, so the lower the speed, the faster the animation will happen. The delay, if you increase the delay, obviously it will take a lot of time. So if I make it 5 seconds, 5 seconds, see, it is taking so much time. So this is slower. So and it seems like this game is easier to play than if the animations are slower. So that way, basically, if you want to tinker with the gravity part, is fine if you want to do that by changing the top and top thing. But to increase the speed of the animations and all, this is actually contributing to the difficulty part of this game. So for setting the, you already know that you can set attributes and you can set various styles. So I will be doing the same thing. You will be setting the animation duration to mode by clicking on a particular button. So it is 2 seconds. Then you will change it to 5 by doing something like what was the name of the animation? Block. So we will be doing something like block.style.animation, something like that. There is something called animation. Yes, animation delay. You will be changing the animation delay, the animation duration. and you can easily do that. You will be changing the value on clicking on a button. So let me push this to GitHub. This thing is not required. Also, I told you guys about the GitHub functionality, like what are the various comments for. So you guys can go through it in the earlier video and try pushing it yourselves. Also, I will be providing you with the document for basically setting up GitHub. If you don't have it, it is already in the presentation. I will be providing with that. So here, game completed. Completion. So let me send you guys the link. Mm. So I've sent you the link. You guys can access it from there. So let's take around 10 to 15 minutes break and we will start with the next game. And we will be completing it by tomorrow and we will do the deploying part as well. So don't worry about that. We are supposed to also deploy it on a server. We'll be doing that. Let's meet in 15 minutes. Okay, so let's get back to starting with the new game. So for this, I will be again creating another territory. So I will be creating a game. Basically, it's called Whack-A-Mole. It's called Whack-A-Mole. So Whack-A-Mole is like the ones that you might have seen at different gaming zones and all those, where you see where I have a hammer, and on the ground there are holes. So moles come out of one of the holes. So I have to hit it once the hole comes up. So that is what I need. We will be creating in terms of vanilla JavaScript. So let's do that. Let me create my directory first. We'll have the similar number of files: index.html, index.js, and index.css. So let's set up the HTML file like we have always done. Let's change the title to Whack-A-Mole. I will link my style sheet. href page index.css. Fine. I'll adding the script below the body. So script is sc index.js. Fine. So within the body, what will I be having? So obviously they will have a heading. Whack-A-Mole. Below that, the usual score. Score. And the thing is, basically, I will be the game is actually hitting the moles, and all I need to do is I need to keep on calculating also, because I am hitting the moles, and also I need to calculate the score, and that there needs to be a particular time interval. So within that particular time interval, how many times I am doing. So I need to keep the time interval like we did for that game. What was the name of that game? In memory game, we did the time lapse thing. So I'll be doing the same thing here. And right now I'm starting with just seconds. So later we can integrate the timer again. So I'm just writing seconds left. So I will start with actually 60. So later if whatever time we add, that should take that place. That's the idea. And seconds left, whatever. And now in this we will be having our as earlier the game board. So Mole board. Let me name it mole board. Fine. Within mole board, basically, it will be a lot like the tic-tac-toe things that we normally play. I will have 9 boxes, and they will have their own heights and widths and everything. So we'll be let's set up that those squares within dynamically. So for that, let me go to index.js and document dot. As we normally used to do, we will again add this DOM content loaded thing because I need this DOM content loaded. Because after that, I will be accessing. I won't access it before. So within this, we'll be writing the entire thing. First thing I will do is I will be accessing the mole board. So for that, let board. Here I have used class. So let me just use a query selector and dot mole board. I've accessed this. Now, given how many, basically how many I want. So let's have something like let what will I say grid size. Oh, no, number of squares. Let it be number of squares. That's the best one. Of squares. And since it's a constant, I'm using writing entirely capital letters. Let's have 9. So let's loop over it and basically I will loop over it and add those number that many squares. So let I equal to what 0, I less than number of squares, I plus plus. Here what will I be doing? So let's create a div. Let so name it square. Let square equal to document dot. We know to create a div we use create element and within brackets div. So this div we will be creating it a square every time and we will be appending it to board. So board dot append child, it will be square. So let's see if this works. This HTML index CSS and so on. Let's start up our server. Right now Wacomole and you can't see anything. So we will be because there is no CSS or anything. So let's check in the element section. So within this, see, I have the mole board. I have accessed the mole board, and this is the element section. Basically, here you can see what all HTML elements you have. So you can see that there are 9 divs as I expected. So let's give them a basically I should be providing them some size, right? Size, whatever colors and whatever, because I need a grid kind of structure. So I need to add some CSS. So the best way of adding CSS, because we also did this before during the snake game as well. Instead of writing that dot style, the one that we did in what was we were doing in the Flappy Bird game, because at the time there was only one property that we needed to keep on changing. That's why I had to do bird dot style dot top and all those. But in this case, we know that all these 9 squares will have a CSS which will be static. Basically, the CSS will be the same and that doesn't need to be changed. So instead, what will I do? I will add a in CSS file. I will be adding the CSS to a particular class, and the way we did it in the snake game, where we added something like dot class list dot append dot add. So I will be doing just that. So let's do that. Uh, Let me first define the CSS. So let it be because it's a square. I will be adding dot square. It has a width of 200 px, height of 200 px, and border of 1 px solid black. So I will be adding that to the square square. So it will be square dot class list dot add. And what was the name? Square. So see, now it's all done. So now that's because I added this border, so there are 9 such squares. So this is fine until up till this is fine because I have taken in the squares and the number of squares I increase, it will work that way. Now the next part is where I need to now arrange these one by side because I don't want it to be just here like this. So I need to add this square, arrange these squares in a tic-tac-toe kind board. So basically I need to add some CSS to this moldboard thing because we read about, I told you about Flex before. Using Flex we had done the memory game as well. So we will be doing just that. So dot moldboard, it will have display of Flex ref of ref and some height and width. Let me give it a height of, so there are 200 the width of each square is 200. So we will be keeping them side by side. So let's keep the height and width as 600 px. Also there is a width for the borders, so let's keep it 610 px. Height and width is 610 px. So 3 boxes in a single row and 3 boxes in a column. So we have that. See, so whatever, even if we decrease it to 100, so here I will make it 310. What else? It's better because I can see it in this only, so that's better here. So this is how we will be setting up this thing. Now every time you increase the number of squares, you might need to change the CSS as well. And at that time, basically when you are increasing this is how you will be adding some difficulty level as well. Because how, for example, I want to change the width of my number of squares. Basically, I am trying to change the number of squares. So what will I be doing? I will be adding what? Let's add the difficulty buttons here as well. Because the more number of squares, the more difficult the game gets. Just we won't know, because the number of places for slapping our hammer gets is the probability increases the probability of actually hitting one of the things perfectly, it decreases. So that means it gets difficult. So we need to do that. So let's add some kind of difficulty level. Where is it? In here. So second step, back mode. Above score. Let's edit above score. So we'll be having 3 buttons. Button easy. We'll have an ID of easy. Medium. So let's access those buttons here, and on in case of clicking those, the number of squares will change. So number of squares we have. Let easy button that we normal always did. Document.query selector, and it is an ID, so it will be hashtag. What's a hashtag? Plus same for difficult and medium and hard. So what we will do, on clicking on easy button, the number squares will still be same. Easy button. So for this we will be adding click function. So let's first see whether they have come on the right place. So easy, medium and hard, yeah, it's fine. So easy button on add event listener, click. What function we will be calling? Function. It's a number of squares. It will change. And it will be 9 only because I want the easy to be this thing. However, on the medium and hard, I will change it. Medium button, the number squares. Let's make it 18. And for hard, let's make it 27. Fine. So it's fine, medium. So medium and hard, basically on clicking of this, these things should then be called. So for this, let me put this in a function. Let's put this in a function where we will say uh, create board. Function of create a board. Within that, this will be present, and I will be calling the create board functions after this, because else the number of squares won't get changed, right? Because it is just working for the very first time. I need to call this after I'm changing the number of squares. Okay. So once I click on easy, this one, on medium the number of squares increased, but they all went down. So that means on hard it increased more. Again easy. Wait a minute. It should have again changed on easy, but it didn't. So let's see why it didn't change. So let's go to create board. Okay, so that on every part, so basically why is it not changing? Because once it has been added, it won't get changed back, right? It will just keep on increasing. So for that, every time we are doing something, we need to also clear our board. So we should do this board.innerHTML empty. The way we did it in game board, we will be doing the same thing here. Like for that snake thing also, because the number of segments are increasing that time, if you remember. So we'll be doing the same thing here. That is easy. Medium, again easy, it is back to the same position. Hard, it is mode. Again click on easy, it is back to the same position. Fine. Now the thing is, for medium and hard, they should be side by side. I don't want it to go down. So all I need to do is basically I need to increase the height. Let it say the same. Let me just increase the width every time. So for that I will be again for the medium part, what we will do, yes, in case of medium, I will be accessing my board thing again. If you remember that computer style thing, so we'll say let board style equal to window dot get computed style, because we already know how to access the particular style element of a particular HTML element, how to access the style object of a particular HTML element. So get computed style dot, wait, I myself forgot this thing. Wait a minute. I need to look. What was it? Get is get property value. Yeah, this is property value. See, this sort like sometimes it's okay to like not remember a particular thing. Like you can obviously search it on the net. So this is the thing here. Get property value here, and because I have that ability, so doing this, what I can do, I can change the width. Basically, I need to change the width here. So I need to access the width. So board width. Now I know there are 18 squares. Each of them are 100 px in height and width. So what can be the width that I can give? Should I make it 620? Let's see whether what happens if I make it 620. So we have to do this like Uh, where was it? The bot top. Okay, let's first check, see whether the value is coming. Log board width. Let's see what's the value that's coming for board width here. And it was on the medium part. So we'll be checking with medium. It's coming 320 px. Okay. So obviously I need to make it parse int. Or rather than that, let's do something. When we were changing the values, we saw that we had to take that style element. Actually, I won't need this. Won't need to access this part because I will directly change it. So instead of accessing this is something like we didn't actually need it. We'll be needing it later. All I will do is I will do board dot style dot width. This is all I can do. So let's do something which is 620 px. 20 px. Let's see if it works. After this, I will be doing so. If we will see whether it's working. So see now it's working. It's not 620. For easy, see for easy it's still 620 because it's not changing. So I need to set that to 310 again because there might be times that I click on one of them and then it is starting. So that's the thing. So I need to add, make it 310 for next 620, and that will be thrice 310, 620 and 930. Here it will be 930 pairs. So let's see, for is it this, medium this, again for is it this, medium this, for hard this. So we have set up our columns perfectly. I hope you got what we are trying to do. So this is how we are setting the difficulty level for the various parts. Now I will simply remove this thing because I don't need it. That's fine. This one. Now what we need to do is we have now set the difficulty, hard level and all those. Now we need to show the mole on a particular thing, like, okay, so I need to now show the mole up on a particular square, on whichever square it might be. So let's do that. First of all, to access the mole, let's see what we can do. For mole, all I am simply doing is we will be adding a board kind of div kind of thing. I need to check whether I have an image of a mole. So right now I don't have it. So we will overcome this by actually adding some kind of color to that div. So we can actually compensate for that here. So for mole, what I will do, I will give it a background color of black completely. Let me make it, hold on, this one. Okay, so where are we? So we will be compensating for the mole right now with just some kind of a background color. Okay, let it be just the background color and that's all. So how will it actually look if we, so basically this mole now, this I will be using the class list property again, and this mole should actually come up at random positions. That's the idea. So that means I need to access these, basically these squares, and to not through all the squares but to any of the one of the squares I will be adding that mole. So what I will do, basically I will I can access all the things, you know, because we have done it before, where we use something called query selected all. We use that thing. So by using that, what did we do? We accessed all the images. In case of memory game, we accessed all the images, and to one of the particular things we did something. So we will be doing the same thing here as well. First of all, I will be accessing it. Let me, later we will think about where we will be putting in the function. So first of all, let's access all of the squares. So let all squares go to document dot, and you know we can do this using query selected all, yeah, square dot squares, because we were using, I think it's a class. Wait a minute, where did we create the board? Yes, we used classes, so we will be writing square. Fine, let's access it here. We'll put all of the accessing things and all those, the DOM elements above. Now we need to assign the mole class, this mole class randomly to any one of the squares at a particular time. Also, once I've assigned it, after assigning it, I need to again remove it. So let's look, wait a minute, let's just first assign it before we will remove it. So how will I assign it? Basically now it needs to be random, and the random should be based on like you now know how you can actually access a random value between a particular range. So when the difficulty level is easy, I need to access a particular value between 1 and 9. When the difficulty level is medium, between 1 and 18, and for hard it is 1 and 27. So now it is dependent on the number of squares. So if, let me find out that random square position, it should be uh, we knew that math.random gave us a value between 0 and 1. So we would multiply something. So let's do it in the console only. Let's work easier. So I will write math.random. So if it is 9 into 9, however, I will be using something called math.float because I need the decimal value. See now, either you could use math.float or you could use math.seal. So I will be using math.float because when I'm accessing all the squares, and then I will be actually looping over the square, right? So when I'm looping over it, I know that the squares are in an array kind of thing. Like if you see this thing, wait, let's see if we can console log the squares array, all squares. These are node list, and I'm doing easy. Okay, it can't be accessed now. Let me do this inside create board. You see, because this thing, this is an array. So now it's in 0 because I have not written the all squares thing in the right position. I need to access correctly. But you see, this is an array. So that means I will need a value between 0 and 8. right? Because array always starts from 0. So the first element of the square, it will be at 0th position. The next one will be at the first position, second and third, and so on and so forth. So that way I need to access one of the positions. So that means when I'm doing method random into, it will be number of squares, because I know whichever square it might be, because I won't know from before unless it will change based on the difficulty level, and I will have math.floor before that. So this is my random square position. This is the first thing that's happening. Now what will I do? I need to assign the mole class to any one of these squares. So first I need to take let random square. Okay, random square. It will be which one? It will be all of squares and random square position. So random square position is actually the index, right? Random square position index. Random square index. Let me name it random square index. And random square will be any that particular square. I'm accessing the square. And to this, what will I do? I will be adding the class list in the class dot class list dot add. So I know that the name of my class is mole because I want that black thing to come here. So it's mole. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Yeah. So let's see what's happening. So it's saying that cannot read properties of undefined reading classes. That's because this random square index, wherever I'm accessing it, it's actually outside. So I need to access it somewhere better. Like once my board has been created and all this, then I should be accessing it. So let's first just skip it. And where will I be accessing this particular thing? Let's put it inside a function. Call it get random square. Okay, get random square. So it is between inside this, and we will be calling the get random square after creating our board, because that way we will have a new number of squares value as well, because that's important. That's not giving that error. Okay, fine. However, we haven't yet called the board create board functionality because it's not yet done, because we haven't yet clicked on easy, medium, or hard. So let's see what's happening. I'm clicking on easy. It's still giving cannot get read properties of undefined reading class list at indices 42. So let's see class list random square. It is unable to find this random square. So that means all squares might be giving some kind of error. So I will be accessing the all squares inside this. I will be accessing all square. I will be defining all squares inside this. Let's see now. Now it's working perfectly fine. Says node list 9 and whatever and whatever. Okay, fine. So now this thing has happened here. The thing is, now we already have this thing. We have this thing here. Now let me refresh. You will see the next time it will come at a different. See, it is in a different position now. Let me refresh. It is at a different position now. So this is happening because of the random thing. Medium, it is here at the medium in when the next time this is coming here. So this is actually the equivalent of our mole. However, it is just happening once. But what do we need to do? We need to have this done and keep. We need to continuously do this thing, right? I don't want it to stop. So what can I do? I need to now keep on like moving the position of this mole, right? So I need to move the position of this mole, and we know that we need to do this at regular intervals. So what will I do? I won't give the I will be moving the position of the mole after about a second, because I won't want the want to give the player more time to hit the mole, because the longer it is on the mole, the faster, the easier the game gets. So that means here the difficulty level can be done here and changed here as well, where we will be in the depending on the number of depending on the interval of the mole movement. So what will we have? We will have another function which will be move uh, mole movement. Mole movement. Okay. So here we already know that normally when so this one will be using set interval as well. So set interval means calling a function after a particular number of milliseconds. So let mole timer, it is set interval. I'm assigning it to a variable so that I might be able to clear it later. It's actually good practice to assign this set interval and clear it after my component is getting unmounted. So it's actually nice. So here what will I be calling? I will be calling the get random square because the mole movement is actually happening here. So am assigning the mole to a particular any per number of any particular square by through this function. So I will be calling get random square after 1 second, every 1 second. And also mole movement needs to be called. Then will I call mole movement? Uh, Instead of calling get random square here, I will be calling mole movement. So basically I'm creating the board, and normally I should be calling it when the game is starting, not for creating the board. So first let's keep it here. The mole movement should be called when I am creating the board. So let's see what's happening. We haven't cleared it, so it's fine now. Medium. It's coming here. It came here. Then it came here. So the problem is, you understand the problem now. It's actually getting filled everywhere. So what we need to do, we also need to remove. So since mole movement is getting called so many times, so random square is also getting called because we are calling it after every 1 second. Now we also need to remove that particular mole, right? When it was where it was before. So let's first achieve that functionality. Let me stop it. In random square, once I'm entering random square, I have the all squares thing. So basically, what will I do? I have access to all the divs. Basically, let me show you this. I have access to all of them. So each of them is a square. So I will be doing. I will be what will I say? Looping over. I will be looping over each of these elements, and all I will be doing is if there is this mole class name available, I will be removing it. Just like we are adding class list dot add mole. Similarly, I will be first removing it, and after that we will be adding later. So all I will do is all squares dot for each. Within this, basically I will be using the squares. So square. This actually gives the square class name for this. So each square, each individual square on this, I will access the class list property. Remove mole. We can say it better like this. Let me see if I can show it in console log. Log. Let me do square dot class list. Let's check that. You see? See? This is the square class list here. We are getting this thing square. In all the other in all of them at first it was just square and value square, and in one of them it was square and mole because we are once adding it. So that's the idea here. See, in one of the in at first it was just square, but in one of the squares it also had the mole class added to it because the name of the class is mole and square. These two things. So this is what we have. So what I will do, I will be simply removing this mole thing. So let me remove it. So the next time you will see that it won't cause any error. Like it will work as expected. It is coming here, and then it got moved, and then it changed. You see. So this is how fast it is happening. So if I increase the timer, it will be slower. If I do medium, this it's taking 2 seconds time. So it's very slow. If I make it 500 milliseconds, the difficulty level is higher. so fast. So where will I click? Where will I click? It's getting tougher to click. So get the idea. Basically, on from number difficult on clicking difficulty level, we will be adding. We will do this later. Just wait for a minute. So this is what we have until now, and all we can. What else we can do? Basically, when I'm clicking on medium, the game is starting. So instead of doing that, click on medium, the game shouldn't start. We should just create the board. Let's create the board and all those things, and let's call mole movement once we click on start game. So let's have a button which is start game button id equal to start game. Okay. Let's access that button. Let's start button. You already know query selected and hashtag of start. So on start buttons, add event listener. This is a click functionality. I will be calling mole movement. I won't be calling mole movement until I am clicking on the start button. So once the mole movement has started, we know that my game is starting. So there are different ways of doing this as here, because on clicking on start button, we can also start a counter. So let's put this start game. I should be putting it in a different div. Let me put it in a different div. Then it will come in the next one. You can also add what will I say? You can also add those things, the styling things to the buttons as well. Because we haven't actually done styling on the buttons, so you can do that. So on start game, the other things, start game shouldn't be called before also. So it should stay disabled. So we can do, well, it doesn't matter if it's disabled, but the timer thing starts before that. So that's actually wrong. So I should be calling the start button before, after the board has been created. So what I can do, I should keep this start button disabled. Where is it? I will make it disabled. Disabled without I didn't write anything, so that means disabled is true. So I can't click on start button. So once I click on easy, medium or hard, so basically on create board. On clicking on create board, let me access start button and change that property. So you know how to set attributes, because we have already done that. So start button dot set attribute, we will take the disable property and set it to true. So once I click on easy, well, something wrong, something's different, work as it was expected to. So you guys can actually try this out. Like what went wrong at this part, because we already know that set attribute functionality is present and we can actually change the attributes. Let's see whether what's the attribute for this start button here. And we do something like start button dot get attribute. Start button dot get attribute disable. Let's see what's happening here. Get attr, and we will simply console log this. Attr. So we are not getting any attribute. So this is not the correct way of accessing this thing. So that means there is some other way of doing this. So we will be working on this later. Basically, this is the later part of the part of this game. We need to complete the functionality, and then we will get onto this thing. So we will let me comment this out. I will work on this the next time. The next day, and this is the start game. And whatever the start game, let me remove this disable property. So basically medium, The mole hasn't started moving. So once I'm clicking on start game, now the mole has come. So what else we can do here? Basically on click on start game, we can also keep a counter like 3, 2, 1, then go. So like that we can also use that functionality here. So these are few of the functionalities that we'll be adding the next day. Basically the disable button thing where we will be starting the game after clicking on one of the buttons. And the next thing is what else we will be do? We will be doing, we will be putting the timer thing, and also we will be adding this code and getting the actual functionality where we will be clicking on one of the modes, only then it will work. So this is what we will be doing the next day. So until this part, let me push the code to GitHub. After pushing the code, let me send it to you guys. You guys can actually check this start at set attribute thing. So try doing something where on clicking of one of the buttons, only then the attribute will be set. Because we already know about that image set attribute thing where we could set attributes, properties. So disabled is also a property. So you guys can try doing that. So for this, I need to again set up my repository. Do that. Okay. Small. So git init. Hmm. Yes, so now my repository is done. Let me add the origin first. Added origin. Now let me push this, all of this. So git status is present. Let me commit this. What did we do? Created PM word and added difficulty levels and random mole movement. So let's do this. It is git push origin master. So this pushed. Let me check whether it's done. It's done. So I'm sending you the GitHub repository for this one as well. So what you can actually do with this, uh, you can kind of keep on doing the like as I told you what all changes you can make here. Like you can try doing this set attribute property thing, and what else you can add? You can try adding this part too, that timer thing. As I told you that the lesser the timer, you saw that how faster it was moving. Like this smallest continuously happening here. If I made it 100, it will be like 100 milliseconds. You can't even see it. Start again. See. Can you hit this? It's impossible. Kind of almost impossible. You can actually get about one or two, but it will get a bit tough. So let's see whether you guys can do that. So we will be seeing it tomorrow. How much code we are doing it, how much code we are getting at the end. And this thing you will be setting what? You will be setting it as something like timer. So at the beginning you will have something let timer equal to what 1000, obviously it was the less one, and you will be changing the timer like the way you did it number squares. On click on easy button the timer will change. So that's how you can do this. I'm reverting it back, we will do it the next time. So I hope you guys liked how much we did it, and the Flappy Bird thing as well, where the Flappy during Flappy Bird also you can change the difficulty levels and try adding some CSS to that, like try making the blocks a bit bigger so that you have to move through it more. Other than that, you can change the colors, change the different structures. So try doing those things. Other than that, basically on in all these games that we have been building until now, all the JavaScript functionalities are all done. Now the side functionalities like you're calculating the score, now you did a different kind of way of calculating it. And in case of the Flappy Bird, as I told you guys, try doing that thing where you will be clicking on that canvas, that HTML board. Only after clicking will the game start. The game shouldn't start on loading. So on clicking, the game will start, and after that, the jump functionality will work. So you guys can try doing that as well. And other than that, add some CSS, some HTML structures, whatever you want. That's all up to you. So take this code and tweak it as much as you want. As you know, experimentation is actually very important. The more you experiment, the more you will get to know. Like I will be providing you with the documents by tomorrow, the entire PPT and everything. Basically, the data is present in the PPT. I'll be providing you that. But at the end of the day, you need to work on this. You need to create your own projects. You need to tweak your entire codes. Only then will you be able to remember. Because once I'm saying document.query selector and all, and you guys notice one thing where I actually fumbled with that thing where I couldn't remember that get computed style property because I hadn't used that much. I was using it, I have used it with some moments. So that means the more you use, the more you will remember. So all these things you need to remember it at most times, because it's not possible that you will be looking at that thing, looking at, basically you will search on Google and then you do something, because that takes up more of your time. So the faster you code, the better you are at coding, and the more and your demand is higher. That's all. So I hope you guys like this class today, and we will continue with the next step where we will be completing our functionality, where we will be clicking on one of the moles and getting our score if it's the correct square. So that's all, and we will be then deploying all the games, all the 4 games on a server, which will be, you won't actually need any money for that. That's for free. So we will be doing that. So that's all for today, guys. Enjoy. Happy coding. Yeah. Goodbye.